today is dedicated to Golden State and the media and the fan base and really everyone on Twitter who is just coming at me in the comments 9-1, 9-1, 9-1, 9-1. And I do stand by my take that they are the most delusional fan base in the NBA. Like, they believe that even when the Warriors were a lottery team, that they were somehow making progress, right? They believe, oh, well, if it was just not for this and for that, and we would have won the title. And it's like Warriors media is like, oh, Jonathan Kuminga's going to meet Jaylen Brown. Jonathan Kuminga's the future of the franchise. It's like, you're lying. You know, Bob Myers is not as good as everybody wants us to believe. But they believe. They are standing and coming after you if you say anything negative about their team, and they are this way. All of this week, they're usually smoking something, and this week they're smoking, this is a new term, smoking that Trysta pack, which means I am the source of getting murked online. Because why? I was wrong. I was wrong. It all began, folks, in August. Andy Liu is a friend of the show. Andy Liu and Sam Esfandiari host a podcast called the Light Years Podcast. And they talk about the Warriors. I don't know if they're really media or fans or what. And so Andy Liu puts on Twitter, the Warriors should start 9-1 even without Klay, first 10 games of the season. And we became friends actually last year when my take went cold when I said Steph wasn't Batman, and then he went on an MVP. I think I'm actually good for the Warriors. Like, every time I say something about them, the opposite happens. It wasn't great when I said they'd go to the finals, and they didn't even make it to the playoffs. So, anyway, when he said they would go 9-1, my guy, Andy, I couldn't just allow this delusion to continue to persist unchecked. So this is what I said. This is why I love Warriors media. Just delusional and fucking hilarious. My guy, Andy Liu, Warriors should start 9-1, even without Klay. Really? Let's take a look at those first 10 games, shall we? LA Lakers, LA Clippers, Memphis, Charlotte, Atlanta. Those were games they should have lost. Those were the means they should be losing. But 9-1, you will not be. People got very mad at 9-1, you will not be. So, folks, I was a little concerned. I was actually a little surprised that video immediately went viral. Like, that immediately, 3 months early from the NBA season, 10 games in, thing went crazy. This was a logical take. Like, no real national NBA person would say that the Warriors without Klay Thompson could beat the Lakers and the Clippers and the Grizzlies and the Hawks. The Hawks had just gone to the Eastern Conference Finals. So people are like, ooh, Trysta, I'm coming back and bookmarking this. Like, ooh, I'm going to save this. And they did. They did save it, too. They did. But I was confident. I was like, you do that. You do that. Let's revisit this. All good. And then, sure enough, the season came, and the Warriors started rolling. Lakers, dub. Clippers, dub. Sacramento, of course, dub. OKC, dub. Memphis, L. OKC, dub. New Orleans, dub. And along the way, along with every Warriors win, I continued. This video kept getting resurfaced. Hey, where you at? Who's here where the Warriors are 3-1? Who's here for the Warriors 4-1? Who's here for the Warriors 5-1? Every victory was like a snowball, just running, going faster and faster downhill. Like, the momentum is building. And then things really came to an impetus, a inflection point, if you will, when the Warriors beat Charlotte. Charlotte was the win when I said to myself, ooh, the math is not in my favor right now. I don't know. It's getting a little tight. This 6-4, this 7-3, this 8-2 even is starting to get a little improbable for me. And then, of course, Andy Liu, back into my mentions after that win, he responded, quote tweeted it again, brought it back to the top of the timeline and said, Queen, we coming. And they came, boy. Yes, they did. Screenshots of my TikTok everywhere. The little, like, I made a face like, and that screenshot became a meme on like a blunt is my face. We smoking that Trysta pack. 2 more games. We smoking that Trysta pack. God. They were going to smoke me. Jordan Poole, him sliding into the camera, starts becoming the meme of who's here for Trysta Krick being ratioed online. It even made it to freezing cold takes. And you know things go viral when you make it to freezing cold takes. Listen, 9-1 was a ridiculous assertion. Me saying that a ridiculous assertion might not come true isn't that ridiculous. So then the Warriors only had left the Rockets and the Hawks. And let me tell you, the Rockets, they're not winning any games this year. So it was the Hawks. And everyone knows I love some Kayvon Looney. But I really love Kayvon Herter. His name's Kevin, but when the crunch time comes, he becomes Kavon. I love Clint Capella, and I'm all about ice tray. So I'm like, yes, let's go. Okay, Hawks, don't let me down, Hawks. And the video just continues to go viral and more viral. Who's here before the Warriors play Trae Young? Who's here? Who's here for that? Okay, what do I do next? People are salivating. The time is here. Warrior sites were blogging about this game before it even happened. Like, one more game and Trysta Krick is wrong. What? Am I Stephen A. Smith? I'm not Stephen A. Smith. What is going on here? So then the game tips off, and the Hawks are up 15 points. And I'm like, Hawks are up. This could be... Listen, and to hedge my pain, I did take the Warriors -3. Like, I did bet Warriors -3 in case the inevitable happens, I at least win money. And then I'm sort of right. And then I'm like, okay, I'll lose some money for this take to technically be right. On a technicality, I would still be right. And then Steph went absolutely nuclear. Steph, 50 points, drops 50 points on the last game. I'm like, Steph here heard it. Steph had to have heard it. He's like, this is it. This is the 10th game. I'm going to absolutely go bonkers. I'm literally going to hit every shot from half court. Literally, if I had $1 for every time the announcer said, Steph Curry, heat check. And I was like, they're talking about my podcast right now. Steph Curry, that's 3 heat checks for Steph Curry. And I'm like, yeah, it is. It is. We're going to talk about this tomorrow. Yes, boy, we did. So to all of that to say, how do I wriggle out of this? I don't think I can. The Warriors are 9-1, and I was wrong. And, I wasn't really wrong because we're in the prediction business. But I was wrong when I firmly asserted that 9-1 they would not be, because that 9-1 right now they are. And to be fair, I didn't say they would go 6-4. I said they could go 6-4. Hurt people, that's a very nuanced distinction. It's not technicalities. So let's break down what's happening with the Warriors now. All of that to say, we gave you the backstory. What's happening? Who are the Warriors 10 games into the season? I'm going to do 3 things. I'm going to tell you what happened that I saw coming, what happened that I absolutely did not see coming because there were some things. And finally, because the Warriors the Warriors fan base is still delusional, I'm going to throw a little splash, a little cold water on you. Because they are now already planning their victory parade. They're already spending money on finals tickets. That's where they are. That's why I troll them. Here is what I saw coming. Steph Curry is Batman. Steph Curry is going to have an MVP season. Steph Curry is going to go nuclear on many nights. He is going to be must-see TV. We're going to be talking about him all season. 10th career 50-point game. 10th 50-point game. He is the oldest player in the NBA history to ever drop 50 with 10 assists at 30-plus years old. Underneath him is Wilt Chamberlain at 31. Another thing I saw coming was Jordan Poole, killing it. I mean, everyone on earth said that it would be this breakout year and that Jordan Poole would be that way. And he did. And he balled the last 10 games of last year. So He averaged 18 a game in the last 10 games, and he's averaging 18 now. So, yeah, Jordan Poole. Could Jordan Poole, though, be as much of a consistent force? A safety valve for Steph until Klay came back? I did not know. It wasn't a firm no, but it wasn't a firm yes. But also, what I did see coming that a lot of folks did not see coming, because they're still mad about this take, is that Kuminga and Moses Moody, or Moses Modi, as Kendrick Perkins would call him, are G League players. They are not guys you will lean on in any form or fashion, because everybody was saying, oh yeah, and Kuminga's going to be able to play right away. And as soon as him and Moses Moody and Wise, no, those three guys are non-factors. Then the most respectful way I can disrespect those three is right now they are non-factors. They're both, all of them right now, Wiseman, Moody, Kuminga, all relegated in some way to the G League. So those are the things that did not surprise me. But there were things that did, right? First of all, Andre Iguodala I thought was washed. I thought he was washed. I did. I can't lie. He went to Memphis, sat nowhere. He was at home on his bed, basically. He was not doing anything. He told the world, I'm not playing basketball for the Memphis Grizzlies. They are trash. I'm only going to a contender. Ended up taking a buyout to Miami, and then I don't know what happened, but Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra didn't really use Andre Iguodala, and I thought to myself, they didn't use Andre Iguodala probably because he's old as fuck. Right? He is old. He was a finals MVP. Does he have enough? He was a two-way guy that once you lose a little athleticism, you are now non-relevant. I tell you what it was like. Andre Iguodala went into a cryogenic freezer in Miami. The like heat version of the infrared sauna, where he literally just I don't know, if I could turn back time, like that. That's what Andre Iguodala did in Miami. Like, he is now back in Golden State, which is the only place that he wanted to play. Only Golden State. I think there was like a little chatter about the Nets, but not really. He really wanted to go back to the place that he actually lives. And now it's like, holy shit, Andre Iguodala is actually dunking? It's like when Blake Griffin went to the Nets, and you're like, oh, yeah, you were playing possum. You weren't actually old. You weren't actually injured. You were not washed. You just wanted the world to think you were washed so that they would buy you out for nothing. Literally, so you would be discarded so you could go to the place you really wanted to play, right? I did not see that move coming. He is anchoring the defense, which we'll get to in a second. That shocking start is because of the defense. They were a top 5 defense the last 20 games of last season, but they had some real struggles midway through. Like, they right now have a defensive rating of 97, which is absurd. Like, that is, to communicate how ridiculous that is like nobody's even under 100 besides them. Like, they are the only team that's holding opponents to less than 100 points. No other team below 100. And they're doing that because of Andre Iguodala. They're doing that because Iggy and Draymond Green as a duo are like, yo, we are going to be back to this tough-nosed, gritty, defensive-minded team. And they're coaching players like Bjelica. Bjelica is a defensive liability, mostly on paper. And right now, he's playing great defense. Did not see that coming. Another thing I did not see coming, which we need to talk about, is that depth. Like, I saw that roster, I'm like, oh, God. They really, who is going to give them buckets? Is it, because it can't be Draymond Green. Draymond Green's going to give you 8 points a night. Like, so you got Steph with 50. He can't average 50 a night. So Steph with 35, right? And then you got Draymond with 10, maybe 8. So that's 43 points. Where's the rest of the points coming from? Okay, then Jordan Poole we'll call it 18. You do the math, and they're like, okay, I'm halfway to 100, right? Where is it all coming from? You got Oubre chucking, he's gone. Bazemore chucking, he's gone. That ended up being a great thing for them because the ball stoppers, now they're in motion. Now everything's moving. People are cutting without the ball. They're playing almost like the beautiful game version of basketball. Strength in numbers. Damian Lee averaging 12 points a game. I can't believe that. You got Bialica, he's playing his part. Andre Iguodala, he's giving them buckets. I don't know what's happening. I actually still can't really make sense of it. You look at the box score and you're like, I don't really understand how those numbers all add up to 115, but they do. They little like 2 points here, 4 points there, 6 points there, 7 points there. It's like literally Steph, Poole, and then a bunch of random little sprinklings, like little salt and pepper, little oregano, little thyme, like, and then they're the meat, right? And then you're like, oh yeah, they're getting green beans and mashed potatoes back. Klay Thompson's coming. He's gonna give you, who knows, 25. And Gary freaking Payton Jr., the second, whatever, each one, I don't know. He's second in the NBA in 3-point percentage, 56%. So it's Lee, Bialica, Payton, and Toscano. Those are guys. Those are not guys. You know what I mean? They're not guys. They're guys in this system, but they're not stars. The coaching staff, I had no idea about either. Like, Kenny Atkinson is known for his player development, and to be fair, the Golden State Warriors basically looked like trash on the development side. And they cleaned house, hired, we'll call it hired, but bought all new coaches to help them with the development, and that shit is working. I tell you what, whoo-wee. Draymond and Iguodala and Kenny Atkinson, he's also known for like his ridiculous practices and training regimen, and like it's like Tom Thibodeau came to Golden State. That's Kenny Atkinson. And they're like, wow, okay. So they are playing that beautiful game, defensive minded, but on top of that, another low-key thing I didn't see coming was rebounding. They are insanely good at rebounding despite not having a single player averaging more than 8.8 rebounds a game. Like, that's crazy. Like, they're all just rebounding like crazy because a stop is really no good if you're not getting the rebound, because if they get the rebound off a stop, it's basically like the defense didn't even exist. You wear yourself out, nothing works there. Getting stops then secures the boards, then that gets them out into transition. Too much nerd talk, but pretty much the Warriors in that case, when they get rebounds and they get stops, they are unstoppable. Dribble, drive, hit threes, night, sleep mask. So all of that to say, the Warriors don't have to have Steph wear the cape anymore. Steph goes nuclear, but he doesn't have to go nuclear, if that makes sense. That's a huge difference. So now, here's where we get to the cold water portion. I'm sorry, Warriors fans, but there is something ridiculous happening, and the 9-1 has only fueled it, right? They now believe in Ted Lasso and, like, believe Warriors. Like, we believe team. Like, the Warriors fan base now says we are winning the title. Let me just be very, very clear. You are not winning the title this year. They probably will. They probably will now. They probably will now, won't they? Let me just look at the camera and say, if you win the title after November 9th, 2021, you're fucking welcome. You are fucking. This happened with the Bucks. This happened with the Bucks, actually, right around now, 11 games into the season. I said the Bucks would never win the title, and they won it. So you're welcome. Back to that. These fans aren't even satisfied with the hot start. They are now crowning them the kings of the West. They're now saying that they are ridiculous and like the title contender. I went on 95.7 the game today, and they were like, are you ready to crown us? And I'm like, no. And they're like, we'll crown them for you. I'm not trying to harsh your mellow dub nation. I'm just being realistic. You haven't beaten anyone at all yet. You haven't beaten anyone at the top of the standings yet. You have 0 wins against anyone in the top 6 of either conference. Like, that is something to point out, right? Like, something to keep an eye on. You look good, but you look good against losing teams. 33-59 are your combined opponents' winning stats. That is 40% winning. If you were to take that is a bottom 6 team in the NBA. Like, they are the bottom of the barrel teams that you have played against and won. So, Memphis, you should have beaten, and you didn't. And they are still kind of right there. Let's circle back 10, 15 games down the road. Really, let's circle back in January after you played the Bucks and the Nets and the Sixers and the Suns and the Nuggets. You haven't played any of those teams. Let's not pretend also that this team hasn't had hot streaks before. They might have just had them in the beginning of the season in the most ridiculously easy, hot, like 10, 15 game stretch anybody's had in the NBA. I don't even know how they got that. Adam Silver just gifting them an easy, hot start. They had many times last year they were super hot, and then they went ice cold. There was a reason that I said the Warriors could go to the finals last year because of this. This right here, this team can be this. Will they be this in times where the playoffs and they trap Steph and then he's turning the ball over? Oh boy, now we go, here we go again, right? I get, Warriors fans, that you think that this year is different. I think this year is different too. I love that the Warriors are getting their swagger and, more importantly, Klay back. I love that. I hope he's fully healthy. I want him to shoot. I want him to be a defensive stopper. I want him to be mobile. I want him to be healthy. I like it when they're good. Despite what people think, I like the Warriors being good. But it is too early for this. It's too early for this. It's too early to be like Trysta. Dynasty, back on. Banners. We're just planning out where the banners are going to go. We're doing our ring sizing. Even Andre Iguodala is like, yo, we haven't played anybody. We haven't played anybody. He said the team's hot start, okay. It's okay. He noted their favorable schedule to open the year. No shit. It's favorable. What did I say? It was 33 and 59 combined winning percentage? Yeah, that is a very favorable schedule. 9 of Golden State's first 12 games are at home. So yeah, not quite ready to eat all the crow, just a little piece of the crow's foot. So my final message to you guys is fucking beat somebody before you get all up in my mentions, before we start sizing guys for their rings, shall we? And in the meantime, you're fucking welcome.